Hi, I'm Dr. Jennifer Anolik. I'm an associate professor of medicine in the Division of Rheumatology, and I run a lupus clinic and also a research lab related to lupus. A new drug was approved for lupus by the FDA last week. It's called Benlysta or belimumab. And this is a pretty momentous occasion for lupus for multiple reasons. One is this is the first drug that's been approved for lupus in over 50 years. A lot of the medications that we currently have to treat lupus have broad effects on the immune system. They suppress the immune system in multiple different kinds of ways. Belimumab is different in that it's a biologic medication that targets one specific molecule and pathway in lupus. So because of that, it's hoped that it will have less immunosuppression and less side effects than some of the other medications that we use. Some of the therapies that we have to treat lupus right now are somewhat limited. Steroids are one of the big treatment approaches, and although they're effective, they have a broad range of side effects. They increase the risk of infections, they cause thinning of the bones, can contribute to heart disease and other problems. And so really the hope with many of our diseases is to be much more targeted with our therapies. We should all be very excited that this drug is approved, since it's been so long since we've had a drug approved for lupus. But we need to rein in our enthusiasm to some extent and understand that this is not the cure for lupus. There are probably going to be a certain subset of patients where this drug will be effective, and others where it may not. So, for example, in the clinical trials that proved the efficacy of belimumab, there were certain patients that were not studied, specifically those who had significant kidney involvement or central nervous system involvement. So we don't know how this drug functions in that population of patients. The remarkable thing actually with this drug is that overall it has been quite safe, and the clinical trials have been conducted in over 2,000 lupus patients, and the drug's been used even beyond 2 years in some of those patients, and even long term it seems to be quite safe. There are infections that can occur. However, lupus patients have an increased risk of infection because of the disease, because of other medications that they're on. So really looking at the data, it isn't clear that that risk is increased with belimumab. There's a couple of reasons why it's been difficult to study lupus in clinical trials. One is that lupus is quite variable. We like to say in the clinic that no two lupus patients look alike. And so that can make it really difficult to perform studies. The other thing is that naturally lupus can have its ups and downs, even without any treatment. So how do you study the effect of an intervention if the natural history of the disease is that kind of up and down? Another critical factor is that we really haven't had well-defined outcome measures. So to be able to say this drug works, this patient is better, you really need to have objective measures of that. And one of the critical things that the belimumab studies have done is to help to develop those outcome measures. So the measure that was used in these two large phase 3 studies that went into getting the FDA approval is actually now a measure that's going to be accepted by the FDA. So that's why this really is quite exciting. It paves the way for future clinical trials in lupus as well.